Hey guys, so David Copperfield is the most famous and richest modern illusionist. His name became well known and is associated with magic and a lot of things that just are seemingly impossible. So Copperfield, like many magicians, maintains his secrecy in his magic and in his personal life. Several of his tricks have yet to be solved. Thanks to him, thousands of young people love the world of magic and illusions. We're going to talk about how he was able to achieve these results, where he is now, and what he does. So David Seth Kotkin was born in September 16, 1956 in the small town of Metuchen, New Jersey to a simple family. His mom was an insurance adjuster and his dad owned a men's clothing store. Now, from an early age, David had a retentive memory. He learned the Torah by listening to it, and at just 4 years old, he saw and immediately repeated his grandfather's card trick after seeing it only once. Then visiting a magic shop in New York opened the world of magic for the young boy, and he wanted to spend every single minute of his free time on it. His parents supported his interest in magic, and at 7, he'd already shown his own personally made tricks to those that attended the local synagogue. By 10, he started performing in his neighborhood under the stage name Davino the Boy Wonder. At 12, he was accepted to the Society of American Magicians, becoming its youngest member. At 16, he was already teaching the art of magic in New York University. In 1974, David finished high school and was accepted to Fordham University in New York, but dropped out after 3 weeks to play the main role in the Chicago comedy musical, The Magic Man. That's when he took on the stage name David Copperfield from Charles Dickens' novel. He sang and created original illusions in the musical, which received outstanding reviews. Fast forward to 1977, when David was almost 21 years old, he put on his first special episode called The Magic of ABC. This 49-minute episode had stars from ABC that helped David perform his magic, including a trick where he cut someone in half. Now, the episode's success impressed another TV channel, CBS, who offered him his own show, The Magic of David Copperfield. His parents supported him and even advertised his show by making special bags for their customers. He had the idea of a huge illusion in the 80s. Simple tricks just weren't good enough anymore, and he wanted to do something bigger and better. So Copperfield started organizing large-scale illusions that shocked the public. In his 4th episode, he vanished a 7-ton airplane, and then the Statue of Liberty in the next episode. This trick was put into the Guinness Book of World Records, and his trick was approved of by US President Ronald Reagan. Now, a bit later, Copperfield flew across the Grand Canyon in Arizona. He would then frequently fly in front of his audience on stage. According to David, he worked on that trick for 7 whole years. To show he was really flying without any ropes or harnesses, he would fly through a rotating hoop or into a glass box. From show to show, Copperfield would use a trained falcon or fly with a girl in his arms like Superman. Now, another one of his grand tricks was walking through the Great Wall of China. Additionally, Copperfield vanished in Orient Express dining car, escaped from a safe in an exploding building, and from Alcatraz prison, as well as traveled through the Bermuda Triangle. Of course, he couldn't organize all of these performances on his own. His team had over 300 members. 80 of them were responsible for the trick's engineering, and all the parts of his shows were transported in huge trucks with secret compartments that he wouldn't even show at border crossings to just maintain the illusion. But despite his efforts, several of his tricks were explained later by other magicians. Now, it's worth mentioning that not all of his performances were successful. In 1984, while practicing his flight from death, David was locked in chains and lowered into water, but he got tied up and started drowning. He was taken out of the water only after 1 minute and 20 seconds. Another time, while performing a rope trick, Copperfield cut his fingertip off and it needed to be immediately reattached. By the late 80s, David Copperfield had become the most requested and recognizable magician in the world. First, he was in a Michael Jackson music video for Liberian Girl. He played the magician in Terror Train and later played himself in various series and the movie 7 Days in Hell. In the 1990s, the magician demonstrated another effective trick. Copperfield was placed in a coffin shut with chains and thrown off Niagara Falls. The audience saw him holding on to a rope being lifted out of the water by a helicopter afterwards. In 1993, David set new records for a tour across Germany with 115 performances, earning him $35 million. Now, in the same year at a gala concert in Berlin, David met supermodel Claudia Schiffer. They were married in January the next year. During the relationship, Claudia would occasionally participate in David's acts as an assistant. Later, in 1997, a French magazine published a copy of a contract saying that Claudia received $250,000 every year for playing Copperfield's wife. Claudia wasn't allowed to be seen in public with other men, but she would regularly receive expensive gifts from David to show off for the press. David also paid for tickets to his shows in various places and for dinners in restaurants that the paparazzi would come see. The couple sued the publication for $30 million and won after a few years. In 1994, Copperfield sued magician and writer Herbert Becker for trying to prevent publication of his book, All the Secrets of Magic Revealed, that, according to David, would reveal the secrets to several of his tricks. This dispute was settled out of court, and the book was published, but without the details of Copperfield's tricks. The two magicians later made up and became good friends. In the fall of that year, the Illusionist held a European tour that included performances in overcrowded rooms in Paris, London, Milan, Vienna, Zurich, and other large cities. According to Forbes, Copperfield made $55 million that year. No other illusionist in history had made so much so fast. In 1995, David became the first magician to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a year later, fulfilled his dream of performing on Broadway in his show Dreams and Nightmares. In just 5 weeks, the production made over $6 million and set a record for Broadway tickets sold in 1 week. Additionally, Dreams and Nightmares was the first magic show to be nominated for an Emmy for show business. David was nominated for this award 38 times and won 21 times. In 1999, Copperfield and Claudia Schiffer divorced due to incompatible work schedules. So from 1978 to 2001, David performed over 150 different illusions, and his show was shown around the world to over 3 billion people. In 2001, Copperfield unexpectedly announced that he wanted to start a family. The media then discovered that Copperfield had met a 22-year-old model from Belgium named Amber Frisky that he'd been dating for over 5 years. However, they split up after a year. Then he met Estonian model Merli Jurna, but when he got involved with TV host Sonia Riba, she gave him an ultimatum, her or me. David chose Sonia, who dumped him later on. In 2005, David started dating Czech model Maria Pelichkova, who gave birth to his son while married to someone else. The mother confirmed he was the father through a DNA test. David thanked Maria for not going to the courts and not causing a ruckus in the media. The model and illusionist sorted out their relationship privately, and in a way that Maria soon gave birth to his daughter. David didn't think of them as his family, but helped them monetarily and gave the children a mansion he bought for them in Las Vegas for $1.5 million. In 2006, Copperfield and his 2 assistants were robbed. At gunpoint, Copperfield made his pockets seem empty, then later gave the police the robbers' license plates. 10 minutes later, the robbers were arrested. In the same year, David Copperfield met Chloe Gosselin at a fashion show, who he's still dating today. 4 years later, in February 2010, she gave birth to a daughter, Sky, and the couple was able to keep her secret for some time. In 2013, someone sued the illusionist. One of his audience members was injured during a performance. 5 years later, the Nevada court made Copperfield reveal how he vanished people. It became known that Gavin Cox fell when he was supposed to go down a secret hallway. In 2018, the 62-year-old illusionist topped the lists of the highest-paid magicians according to Forbes, with a net worth of $875 million. His current net worth is estimated at $1 billion. He continues putting on shows in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, making $50 million a year, not including merchandise sales. Although his show was closed during the 2020 pandemic, David didn't fire his employees and continued paying their salaries. Copperfield obtained a library of magic and other arts at an auction for $2.2 million. He used it as the base to create the International Museum and Library of the Magical Arts in Las Vegas and spent at least $200 million on restoring, gathering, and arranging rare items. The collection is evaluated at $500 million and includes over 150,000 items, making it the largest collection of magic items, books, and artifacts in the world. Another of Copperfield's large investments is his property, evaluated from $200 to $300 million. He owns 11 islands in the Bahamas with exclusive resorts. This purchase and development cost Copperfield about $100 million. The most famous of these islands is Musha Cay, or Magic Island. It's an isolated island in the Atlantic Ocean not too far from Cuba. Copperfield built a complex for 25 people on the island with a movie theater on the beach. Visitors are served by 30 employees and every guest has a personal chef. Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, and Google founder Sergey Brin all vacation there. Additionally, he has a 4-story penthouse in the center of New York City. It's about 10,000 square feet in size and has a balcony and a 5,900 square foot garden on the roof. David bought an 18-room apartment in 1997 for $7.4 million that is now valued at over $60 million. In Vegas, Copperfield and his girlfriend live in the Skyloft penthouse offered to them by the MGM Grand. David Copperfield's successes are impressive. He was called Magician of the Century and the King of Magic. He received a prestigious award from the U.S. Library of Congress, the Living Legend, and the French government made him a knight. He also set 11 Guinness World Records, such as the most magic shows in a year, the largest illusion ever made, and the most tickets sold by a solo artist in the world. There were times when David gave 30 performances a month, and all the nuances of making and preparing his shows done personally. Having no agents or managers makes him the biggest workaholic in show business. Well, that's all for today. Be sure to leave us a like, comment, let me know something that you learned about David Copperfield in this video, and we'll see you again next time.